You ever wonder why it's so hard to make a change? Like keep making the same paths and the same choices over and over again? I'm Dom Jackson with Everyday Media, and this is the 7 Day Scoop Show. Weekly show where I document my career and decisions that I'm making. You have been just trying to pursue where I use my stories and my ventures to help motivate and teach you. Now, there's a famous saying or proverb or one of the things, and it's called the heap of sand. Basically, what they talk about inside the saying is that when does one grain of sand turn into a heap of sand? So, if you have one grain of sand, that's one grain of sand. Then you have put another one, and 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 another one. When does sand go from being just a couple amounts of sand to being a whole pile or a heap of sand? So if you have one grain of sand, you just kept putting another grain, another grain, another grain, another grain, another grain. At what point is that just being one grain to being a pile or a heap of sand? And, all decisions that you make, all little choices that you make, everything that you are comes from being the little decisions that you make over and over again reinforcing themselves. And, it's not until they all compound together do you become the next phase of what you're going to be. And that's how any of the amount of big changes are. So you got to make the small changes to make the big ones. That I've learned this week. Had some new hires. Very interesting how two people come in. One person was super about it, energetic, great energy. The other person was a lot more not. The other person was a lot less enthusiastic, a lot more trying to avoid the work. A lot more. Not really in the right culture for what we're trying to get done. And it's interesting watching the difference between how everyone else performed with those people around, because you got to see the difference of how one person can affect the whole culture of the organization, which is a great lesson to see, who's around really matters, because if one person's sour, the whole batch can get messed up. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and one sour grape makes the whole thing sour. I don't know how those sayings go, but no matter what, your people matter a lot because they affect the other people. Next thing that I learned, we had a lot of meetings together with our teams, just how we function inside and outside of our, work life. So it's crazy how much your home life affects the performance of your work life. You're eating, you're sleeping, it all makes sense. But when you're in team dynamics, like I just said about how one person changed the whole culture for everyone else, in a new person that is random being brought into an already working system, but then you can bring even someone who's already in that system working, already established, they can have something brought to them and they'll be thrown off in their home life. So, your home habits, work habits all correlate very well. I've been on my waking up early and working out grind, Goggins mode still very much consistently. And it's been a lot helping me out stay sharper, but now it's how do I stay even sharper with the sharpness of that one? And really just understanding what it takes for you to keep moving at the pace you need to move. Another big thing that really happened this week, so, we have different price points for what we sell. And I was selling something that was 50 points to give you a reference point of it. So some things are 50, some things are, 6 points, some things are 50 points. 50 points is actually the highest amount of points that something can be, sold for with us. So I was pitching someone and I was oh shoot, oh cool. Then I saw the price of the thing because it was something I had not used to selling. So I saw the price of it, and it was a 30-point key. And I was oh shoot, wait, I would have known this key was this much. I would have approached this a lot differently. I would have had a little more energy. I would have, put a little more weight inside of it, put a little more effort in my whole interaction. That's when I thought, wait a second, bro. Wait a second. You just said to me, I said to myself, you just said to me that you would have put more effort into this interaction if you would have known what you were trying to sell was worth this much money or points, because I can't put the money information out there because obviously it's business. So why not just put that 50-point mentality and 50-point pitch all the time? And I was like, I don't know. And it's interesting because like it makes sense to say out loud. Why not put the highest level of effort into the interaction every single time? But there's a level of just like, I can get away with this. Did I choose to do? And it's one of the biggest problems that, like, to go back to the whole sand thing, what's the next steps going to be? So my next steps of changing that, because it like it snaps on where like you just kind of go back into your old habits instead of going into your new habits. And then my performance, my actual numbers of how I do, really demonstrate which side of the coin I'm on. With all that being said, it's like, at what point are you becoming the person you want to be, and at what point are you actually that person? And at what point are you going back to the person you were? So when you're in that state of change, you gotta really like fight to keep the new one coming more often and the new one sustaining, because it's not your default yet. It's like a new phase you're turning into. But it's very easy to lapse and go back down the other way. So with that, the first step I'm doing now is just really acknowledging that it even exists. Like, hey, like that was a prime example of things you could have been doing. The second thing is tracking the direct things I do. So like my goal when I'm working now is to hit, 20 points an hour. It's like the standard that I want to move at. I got to move at that pace. Now, on a rough day, I'm moving at a 3-point an hour pace instead of a 20, which is a lot slower. And sometimes I only get into that pace when I have to, because everything else is moving so fast and I'm moving that fast. But if everything else is kind of slow, then it's kind of easy to just take a little. That's not what you're supposed to do. Even if externally everything is like slowing down, you can match the pace as far as how you deliver everything, so you're not being like a speed demon and matching the pace of the customers, but your intensity and volume, what you're doing, should be at that same 20-point pace. And that is like the wavelength I'm discovering more and more and figuring out how to keep it. I don't have the words for it yet. I know when I'm there and I know when I'm not there. And it's definitely like, I definitely can see it now and I understand it now. I know when I'm in the pocket on Monster. But when I get off it, it's like, So as far as right now, the best thing I can give is just like tracking and being aware and tracking when it happens. When does that pile of sand go from being it's a grain of sand to a pile of sand? It's when you're aware of what that change is and how often you need to get it done. It's still a work in progress, but it's always taking one step at a time to get there day by day.